morning, Aryan Bhaiya. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. I'm Lavanya Shende from CDC. We're excited to learn from you. So let us begin with your introduction.
Good morning, Lavanya. Good morning, Nipun. So I'm Aryan Trimukhe. I did my BTech from IIT Dharwad. I graduated in the year of 2024. And currently I'm pursuing an MBA at IIM Bangalore. It doesn't have any specialty. We'll get to that later. But yeah, that is it.
Okay, so what motivated you to pursue MBA after your degree?
So the thing is, I was always interested in two things during my BTech. One was plan A, if you could say, was to go in AI. And plan A was to go into AI, and plan B was to go into management, right? Those were my two interests. Now, the problem with AI was that I wanted to go into something which related to product, not research, right? And between those two paths which I could choose, I thought management was the better one. It was the one which I could choose right now and take forward.
Okay, and how did you prepare for the interview process and the selection process, that is application and exam?
So there is a CAT exam, common
Okay.
admission test, which you have to give for MBA in India. And there is GMAT, which is for MIMs or MBA outside. I went for the CAT examination. I perhaps got a good percentile, and that's why I'm here. But after the CAT examination, like, you have an interview at every IIM. So it's not just the exam. More weightage is given to your 10th, 12th, grad score, work experience, gender, and interview. Then for the CAT examination. So CAT examination is just to get in for the interview. The interview is the most important part.
So during these examinations and the interview, how important was the CPI to you?
For CAT, for an
For,
MBA. For an MBA, CPI is definitely important. So you need to, there's a threshold. For every IIM, there's a different threshold. If you look at IIM Bangalore or IIM Ahmedabad, if you have more than 8.5, right, they consider it as 10 on 10 in that particular field.
Okay.
It changes every year. It's not something which is static. But if you have a good CPI, right, add in CPI of, I think, 8.8, right? So I got in. So try to have more than 8. Best if you have more than 8.5, and really good if you're a 9.2. Really good.
Okay, nice. Could you share some insights from your interview process?
Okay, so I gave at least a dozen interviews at different times, and every interview is very different for me. So there are multiple types of interviews. One would be a stress interview, a stress test, where they just put you under such a lot of stress. They ask you some technical questions, they ask you some random questions, and they test your ability to come back. Right? They test your ability to take the stress and give a nice answer, right? To how do you get back, basically. That's it. The other one is just the technical aspect, purely. How much do you know about your field, what you studied? Because if you don't care, I'm an engineer, I'm a fresher, right? Fresher means the guy who has no work experience before going for an MBA. So the question is, if you're switching from engineering to an MBA, why? Right? And if you don't know enough about the field you studied, how do you convince the institute that you're going to take that degree seriously as well? So you have to convince them that yes, you are a serious learner, especially for freshers. So technical aspects and handling stress are the two most important things.
Okay, so following on my previous question, what advice would you give our students to prepare best for these interviews?
Just that, just stay calm and just know what you've studied. If you have a basic under, it is not that you have to answer 100 questions 100% of the times. You should answer it in a way which exudes confidence, which shows that you understand the subject, and that should be good enough. And just be well versed with technical terms and be up to date. So you should know what is going on in cricket, sorry, in sports, in politics, in finance. You should थोड़ा मोटा माटी पता रहना चाहिए. You should know what is going on.
Okay, so looking back, were there any particular resources that you found helpful for your preparation?
There are no specific resources. I started my prep in July. I did not have enough time to scout for resources. But I would say that there's one thing that instead of having multiple sources, go for a single source, a good source. So if you remember, if you can go back to your JE days, instead of taking like 5 books, right, for physics, like having Bangui and CBSE ka वगैरह, you go with HC Verma, right? And that should be good enough. Similarly here, it is much better to have single source multiple revision than having multiple sources single revision. What I used
Okay,
was I, of course, had an Unacademy subscription. They had given me their books. So I solved them repeatedly. That is what I did.
okay, thank you. And were there any specific skills or knowledge from IIT Dharwad which were helpful there?
IIT Dharwad. I think I met a lot of friends and I met a lot of people. I was a part of, as a part of cult, as a part of sports. I was a part of the technical team as well for some point of time. And I think I understood how to connect with people at Harvard. And because I held a number of PORs, I think too many at one point of time. I was able to engage with a lot of people, right? I was able to engage with the academic cell, right? I was able to engage with my juniors, with my seniors, and there's so many times where I got to meet the director himself, right? So it gives you a lot of exposure when you are a part of such teams and you are a part of such roles. You expand your vision. And thank you, Dharwad.
Okay, so going back, is there anything you regret doing or not doing?
Uh, how far back am I supposed to go back? So I'll tell you one thing is that you should start preparing early. I started in July. I think you should learn from other people's mistakes. Start before April. Utilize your summer vacations. Don't make the mistake of wasting your vacation time. This applies to the both of you as well. Sorry for giving you a lecture. But please utilize your summer vacations very well. You won't get that time back. Right? This is free time you have. And time management. Don't be a part of so many things that you underperform in some of them. Have a few set of things in which you can excel at instead of being a part of everything and having suboptimal results. And the last thing I regret is that last semester छूट गया मेरा because I completed my graduation in like November in the seventh semester. So I gave my CAT, I prepared for my interviews, and I did not come to the institute for my last semester. That will be a lifelong regret for me.
So, could you provide a roadmap for students in our third or second year who are aiming to pursue IIM in a good college?
So if you're in your second year, chill. You have one more year. Don't worry about it. Yeah. If you're in your third year, you're starting out your third year, but it starts in August, right? So I'd ask you to just read up about what CAT is, what the portion is, right? Are there any seniors whom you can contact vagera, till the month of December, January? That should be fine. Once January, February sets in, start reading the concepts, right? Start preparing. Perhaps get a subscription. If you're online, you can go for the online platforms, which are iQuanta and Academy. They're good. If you're offline, go for Time, IMS, whatever. Start preparing from the month of February so that you'll start become serious by the month of April and utilize your summer vacations, right? And keep giving mock tests. Keep giving mock tests. Keep reading. Read anything possible. Read the newspaper you get daily. Read a book. Read whatever system requirements you find on a computer or something. But keep reading. You should have the habit of reading to get here, to crack the DRC section, and that should be all. Don't stress yourself. I think 3-4 hours daily, if you're starting in the month of April, is good enough, right? I mean, you should have a life. Don't forget to have a life.
Okay, so let us talk about LinkedIn now. How did you
Mhm.
leverage LinkedIn into your application?
I have not leveraged LinkedIn at all. If you see that, if you check my LinkedIn page, I must have been. The last time I was active was perhaps during placement season from August to November. So it really does not matter to get into an IIM. Perhaps from now on, when I sit for placements here, I'll have to revamp it. But for all LinkedIn questions, I would ask you to go to Varendra Maurya. He is the LinkedIn god of our batch.
Is there any advice you would like to give students in general?
देखो यार कि be a part of everything, right? Participate. I'm not saying कि सबको head करो और सब manage करो. Enjoy. जितना भी है, cult है जाओ, डांस करो, स्पोर्ट्स है जाओ, खेलो, नहीं आता जाओ खेलो, right? You will not get this time back. And by the virtue of taking part in things, you learn much more than what you would be able to learn just by reading a book, right? Just by studying class. All of that, of course, is a very essential part, but it shouldn't be the only part, right? So have a lot of fun, study on the side, and you will do well. It is, don't just limit yourselves to study. I would just say that.
So, lastly, would you like to share any experience from your few days in IIM?
Oh, it has been crazy, crazy. I must tell you. See, I can't remember the last time I must have slept for more than 4 hours in a day for 5 hours. At a stretch, huh? At a stretch. It is crazy hectic and it is crazy fun, right? I have never had this much fun in this short period of time. The number of, um, the way they make groups, right? There have been at least 15 events, 15 things that I've been a part of now because it is kind of mandatory. And every 15 group is unique, right? So you get to meet such a wide variety of people. If you see my neighbor, right, on this side, he's a gold medalist in BCom from Hansraj. My neighbor on this side is IIT Delhi CSE with 3 years of work ex. And right next to him is a CA, right, with 3 years of work ex. So it is a wide variety of people, right? You're in a jungle and you have to find your way. It's very interesting. And there's a lot of culture here, right? So you're a part of the culture as well. It grows on you. That was great fun.
It is so good to see you this happy and excited. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we had a nice time. Nipun, do you want to ask anything?
Yeah, like I just had like two
Hmm?
questions.
Yes,
So
yes.
you told about WorkX. Like, is WorkX
Hmm.
important for MBA? Like getting in IIM?
Yes, yes, it is important. So, your total score on the basis of which you're admitted is your CAT score, right? Your 10th, 12th BTech marks. Cool. Then comes WorkX and interview. Interview plus there might be an what we call as it GDPI, right? Or PI and what? Personal interview and written ability test. Written ability test is like writing a small essay on a given topic. So that essay plus interview actually has more weightage than the CAT exam, which you give on the D day of the interviews. And coming to WorkX might be about 10% roughly of the weightage. So if you don't have WorkX, you're fighting for 90% of the marks as a fresher. Fresher means a person who does not have WorkX. So it is generally seen as a good idea to have WorkX and then go because it is a little bit easier. But I can't say that because I came as a fresher. But
So
yes, the average age here, Nipun, is could you guess the average age here?
27.
Yeah, it's 26 and
Okay.
I'm 21.
So yeah, exactly my point being like, so 2 years or 3 years or more than 5 years of WorkX, like which is most apt?
Not more than 3 or 4.
Okay.
That's seen negatively. Not three is perfectly fine. Three is like if there's a curve, right? वो bell curve होता है, right?
Hmm.
The peak is 3 years. Anything after that might be a bit too much. Anything before that might be a bit too little. Fresher is nothing, right? There are two issues here. One is getting admission, right? Getting admission is difficult because you're fighting only for the 90% of marks. And second one is placements because even companies, they want people who have had work ex.
Now, so you gave CAT. So why didn't you
Hmm.
give GMAT? Why don't Why didn't you go abroad?
this is kind of a philosophical question for me, but I did not want to go abroad. I think that is it. There's nothing else. I okay, ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, but there is one thing which Gandhiji used to say is that try to complete your education in India as far as possible, right? And IIM Bangalore is ranked 32 in the world, right? So it is one of the best institutes in the world, not just in India. So I don't feel any regret about it. Like if I were not to make it to, let's say, the top six IIMs, let's say Blackie is what we call them, then I could have gone for achievement. But I think the expenses do not just the expenses, but I think IIM Bangalore, Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Lucknow are good enough.
Thank you, Bhaiya. It was a pleasure talking to you.